Hello and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be doing a show and tell, a little spec talk about the M2 competition. I've actually talked a little bit about the things I'm going to be talking about today in other previous videos, but I realised there's a lot of people who are starting to step into M2s and might not want to troll through all of the 50,000 videos I've done on this channel to find the specific bits of information about what you need to know when coming to buy an M2 competition. So today I'm going to be talking about the spec choices you can have on an M2, maybe some servicing and kind of how much that costs, and then some little things you can do to improve the look of the M2 and the enjoyability. So my name is William Holmes, welcome to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, let's get into it. So sit back, relax and enjoy. This one's going to be a very long video, I think. So starting off, I've had this car for 2 years now. I bought it with 7,000 miles. It is a 2018 car. In fact, it was registered in October of 2018. So it would have been one of the very first M2 competitions on the road in the UK. I've done about 25,000 miles now in this car and it's been absolutely fantastic. I've even done a couple of track days and I've been able to take it to that limit and enjoy it and see how good this car is. And it's absolutely brilliant. Let's talk about spec options and what you should be looking out for when you're buying an M2 competition or in the market for one. First of all, the M2 competition kind of comes with a lot of brilliant spec options already as standard. So really on the market when you're looking for an M2, there's not really a lot of differences between all of them. There are kind of two main packs that M2 competitions come with, and with those two packs you've kind of got everything that you need for the car from the get-go. So the first one is the comfort pack. Now I don't work for BMW, I don't remember all the packs off by heart, so I'm kind of gonna try and remember some of the things that these packs come with. The comfort pack, essentially the main thing that I remember is it gives you, I think it gives you heated steering wheel and it gives you the electric seats. Now I've actually not got the comfort pack and so I have the manual seats. Now with the manual seats, oh be quiet, with the manual seats instead of the electric ones, the electric seats have kind of the electric thing underneath the car so that the seats can move around, but that means that you sit a lot higher. So if you're very tall, it may be worth getting the manual seats because you can get the seat a lot lower and so you can get that perfect optimal driving position. Also with the comfort pack, I believe, I mean again this is off the top of my head, it comes with the reversing camera, which is right here. Now the owner of this car, who owned this before me, who spec'd it out from factory, didn't spec the comfort pack. The M2 Plus pack is the second pack that comes on the car, and some of the few things that come with it is you get the grey alloys, the grey wheels that come on the car. Mine, as you can see, have silver wheels. I think it looks really nice with silver wheels. It makes the car kind of pop a lot nicely, a lot nicer with the Long Beach blue colour scheme. But if you see a car with the grey alloys, then most of the time typically it's got the M2 Plus pack. The M2 Plus pack also comes with the icon headlights, so these are these hexagonal headlights. If it doesn't have these headlights, then it doesn't have the Plus pack on it. Also it comes with privacy glass or sun protection glass, so you've also got the darker tints on the rear. I think the previous owner to me did spec the M2 Plus pack. I'll have to go and find the spec sheet at some point. I may link it down below here if it, after I've checked the spec sheet. If it does, I'll let you know. But I think the owner did spec M2 Plus pack and then changed the wheels to silver to give that pop, which I absolutely love. A lot of M2 customers went and spec'd sunroof as well. Obviously this being a track car, I haven't got the sunroof. It just saves a little bit of weight as well. A few other things that I've added during the ownership of my car. A lot of People, when they're in the market looking for an M2, they'll pick out a certain M2 because it has the carbon pack. M2s don't have a carbon pack. It isn't a spec option. If you see carbon on your M2 that you're looking at, it would have been aftermarket options added on by the dealer or by the previous owner. Often they can be M Performance carbon, official M Performance carbon, OEM, or it can be aftermarket from a company such as Auto ID. So I have added the CS splitter, and you'll know it's the CS style splitter because it has these flicks at the side, and it's also got these kind of aggressive grooves that follow the lines of the front. I've also added the carbon mirror caps and the CS style rear boot spoiler. And then finally, we've got the M Performance diffuser as well. So the reason why I've kind of gone for these specific carbon options is because I want my car to kind of look OEM plus. OEM basically means how something looks from a factory. So I want it to almost look like it's come out of the factory, a little bit more aggressive than what BMW kind of released it out of the factory, right? So I've essentially made it look like an M2 CS in some ways. I don't want it to be too aggressive. I don't want a wing. I don't want, you know, silly things everywhere that make it very obvious that it's not stock. I kind of want to still make it look stock because I do turn up at customers and I don't know. I want to give a good impression, right? So I haven't gone too crazy, but subtle changes that kind of just make the car look a little bit more aggressive and a little bit different as well. I've also added these mudguard flaps. Now they do look carbon, but they're not carbon, it's just plastic. But essentially, the M2 has very wide hips, as you can see. So as you're driving around, the wheels can kick up a lot of dirt, as you can see here. And it can kick up a lot of dirt on the back of these big fat arches. So I've just added these carbon mud flaps here to just kind of prevent as much crap that gets kicked up from the car and hitting the arches on the back of the car. I've also got them on the back here, which, as you can see, there is dirt on the car, but it's just a little bit of extra protection on the paint. I've also finally added some carbon exhaust M Performance exhaust tips. They were silver. You can find the video on the channel where I install these, but after a few track days they have gone brown, and they're probably aftermarket, and hooning around a track at about 130 miles an hour has caused them to go very, very brown. I have got an exhaust on this. I went for a PCW exhaust, which cost about £400. The wait list for that is about a year now. So Paul, the guy who does the PCW exhausts, he basically modifies the stock system. He takes the exhaust off, modifies the internals, sticks it back on, and it makes the car very, very loud. Also, whilst doing that, I did have the back box painted black as well, which nicely hid the ugly udder that was hanging on the car. After the track day, the exhaust got so hot it's obviously melted the paint a little bit, and I need to get that resprayed. But it was absolutely one of the best modifications that I made on the car, making it slightly louder for not that much money, and hiding the back box. You can obviously, it's very cold out here, so I've got a bit of a runny nose, so you have to bear with me. You can obviously go with aftermarket exhaust options such as Remus, Akrapovic, and spend 2,000 plus for those exhausts. But for me, I was on a budget, and I modified the stock existing exhaust instead, which has really livened the car up. My final point I want to talk about is the tyres on the car. So, actually, before I talk about tyres, brakes. The M2 comes with two options for brakes. You've got these blue ones here, which are the standard ones, and you can get silver ones on your brakes instead. Now, if you see an M2 with silver brakes or brake calipers, that does not mean that it has carbon ceramic discs. The M2 does not come with carbon ceramics. The M2 CS might. I think those are the gold calipers. But if you see silver calipers, that actually just means that the calipers are a lot bigger. They're bigger. I think they're bigger 4-pot calipers at the front. So the calipers are bigger, but the discs are still steel. Okay, so if it's got gold calipers, then yeah, it's probably got carbon ceramics, which is completely different and didn't come on the M2 and is probably aftermarket. But back to tyres. I'm currently running Michelin Cup 2 tyres, front and back, and the dimensions of this are stock, so they're the same as the Pilot Supersport dimensions or width that come on the car out of factory. I did previously run Michelin Pilot Supersport 4S tyres throughout the winter last year. Those were absolutely fantastic because 4S tyres are a great all-round tyre in the summer, and they're brilliant in the winter when it's cold and wet. I also think they were brilliant because I went slightly wider on the back and slightly wider on the front. So from factory, the back I believe are 255 rear and 245 fronts. I believe that's correct. One second. Stock from factory is 265 and 245 front. So with the Michelin Pilot Supersport 4S's, I went 275 rear and 255 front. So wider tyres meant I had more grip on the ground because there's more contact with the ground, and also PS4S's being a great tyre for cold and wet days. And I had an amazing amount of grip. I was able to do launch controls in the wet when it was raining and not lose any traction at all. So if you want one tyre that fits all for these cars, because they do have a ridiculous amount of torque, they do encourage drifts and donuts, but you know, that's the fun factor of these cars. But if you do want a good tyre that you can put the power down, I really recommend PS4S's Michelin tyres, and go wider at the back and wider at the front, 275 and 255. So for my last final section, I thought I'd open the bonnet of the car and we can look at the sexy engine that lurks within it, inside the heart of the beast, right? So we've got a lovely carbon strut brace that runs across the engine, keeps the front of the car nice and stiff. An S55 engine, apparently renowned for a crank hub spin. So these engines in the are also in the M3 and the M4. The crank hub can spin very often, most likely on tuned cars. My car is completely stock, so I should be perfectly fine. But servicing, you know, running costs, how much does that all cost? Well, I run 99 RON fuel, and the fuel tank within these cars are 52 litres, so a full tank typically gets me around about £65. £65 lasts me maybe about 5 days. I do work from home, but I will drive to the office maybe once a week, and then obviously a bit of weekend of hooning and a weekend of driving to go do shops and go to the cinema, etc. So about 5 days, £65 a week in terms of fuel. MPG, I get maybe about 26 miles to the gallon. Now, what about servicing? When these cars first came out of factory, you have a run-in service that you had to do around about 1,000 miles in. That run-in service costs about £250, and the main thing is that the diff oil, so the differential in the back of the car, the oil in that gets changed, and that's basically the main thing of what the run-in service gives you. If you're buying an M2 competition, please make sure that the run-in service has been done on the car. The service history will be on the iDrive within the car. You can have a look at the service history and you'll see whether it's had the run and service done or not. That's quite critical because you want to make sure that the diff oil has been changed and it's not running the different stock factory diff oil that comes out of the factory. The first service that I had was around about £200, and that was basically an oil change and a filter change. Not too bad, 200 quid, get some fresh oil within the engine. The second service I had was brake fluid. So I had to get the brake fluid changed. I also did this at Swift Performance, and whilst I was there I got the brake pads and the braided lines done as well at the same time because I was going to go on my first track day, so I timed it quite nicely there. That cost me, the brake fluid alone cost me £50, but with the brake pads and the braided lines it cost a lot more altogether. But just the brake fluid alone, if you were to go to a BMW dealership, they would charge you around about 50 quid for that. Finally, the major service. So this is the big one. This typically involves having the spark plugs changed. I think this can be maybe around about 50,000 miles or 35,000 miles. It will basically pop up on the iDrive dash when you need your major service, and that can be about £800 if you go to an independent dealer, or about £1,200 from a main BMW dealer. So that's not too bad. I've looked at a Porsche GT4 as my next car, and the major service is about £1,200, but a minor service is about £700. And Porsche being Porsche, you want to go to a Porsche dealership and not an independent. So bang for buck, this is a brilliant car. It's relatively cheap for the amount of performance and fun you get out of it, and the running costs aren't too bad either. So, wait one sec. That's been a lot of talking. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know if it was useful or not. If you are in the market to buy an M2 competition, or you're thinking about it, do it. You won't regret it. The market right now is you know, sports cars and their residuals are brilliant. So if now's the best time to buy a car, even if you don't like it in a year, you can sell it. You probably won't lose much money because it's probably one of the best M cars you can buy right now. Looks alone, performance, best time to do it is now. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the usual. I'll see you later in the next video.